The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Winedown are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Winedown, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage. We are back and ready to spill the wine on all things WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, Texas. I am joined by Iridian Fierro of the Wrestfriends podcast, who is also my travel partner to WrestleMania, along with Kaycee Liendo, also known as Over the Moonsault. She is an amazing cosplayer. We are giving you guys the lowdown on all things WrestleMania weekend, including Wrestlecon, GCW, Planet Death? Yeah, you heard that right. WrestleMania Access Superstore, as well as the panels that WWE introduced this year, and of course, the two-day spectacle that is WrestleMania. We're also talking about the possibility of attending WrestleMania next year in LA. I'll give you a spoiler. Somebody already booked their hotel. So grab your glass of wine. We're going in for the 3 count. We are here with Kaycee Liendo, as well as Iridian Fierro of the Wrestfriends podcast, to chat all about WrestleMania in Dallas. How are you ladies doing?
Super good.
Yeah. What a whirlwind of a weekend. I guess we can start with before we got there. So Kaycee got a travel package from WWE. And can you kind of explain the whole travel package? Do you think after the fact, now that you've been, is it worth it? Would you do it again?
Yeah. So there was definitely pros and cons to the travel package. So they started announcing it and I purchased it in November because I was like, that'll give me time to pay it off. We can figure out the rest of it, travel and everything. But the travel package essentially that we got came with the 3-day stay at the hotel, transportation on a bus to and from the stadium, and then the tickets for night 1 and night 2. And it had the option of adding on SmackDown or Raw. At the time, they hadn't announced any Hall of Fame stuff, so we didn't know. So we were just like, nah, we can deal with that. And you could, depending on the package, was where you were seated. And we went ahead and went with the platinum package 2-night. So that wound up putting us in riser 1, the first 3 rows. So they didn't tell us what exact seats, but they said you're guaranteed to be in that section. So it wound up being good. I think the worst part of it was that they sent the itinerary the week before WrestleMania. Yeah. And I was panicking and I was texting Lo and I was like, they're telling me check-in time's at 3 and the bus leaves at 3. And I was like, what kind of magic? What? And I'm emailing the travel package and I'm asking them hey, is there an earlier check-in time? Because I'm trying to plan. I'm a planner, so I want to know what time I'm checking in, what time I'm going to get dressed, what go here and there. And so they're like, yeah, you should check in whenever you can. And I was like, did the hotel say that? And so I called the hotel and they were like, no, our check-in time's at 3, but you can leave your luggage here. So I was like, okay. But the itinerary was kind of weird. It wound up working out. We did get to check in early and stuff. So everything worked out. Seats were great. But yeah, I think I wouldn't do it again now that I know how WrestleMania works and what happens, because it did limit us in interactions and trying to go different places. We had to be there for the bus. We had to be there at a certain time. So yeah, it was good. I liked it for my first time, but I don't think I would do it again.
Tell us about the bus. What is the dynamic of it? How many people are on there? I guess we should let the people know. So these bus drivers, I don't know where they found them at, but they don't have any patience at all. They were honking at people when we were walking across the street.
Yes, exactly. When we were walking.
Yeah, no, specifically you two. I thought I was like, that is I don't know how that could have gone down any weirder. The fact that I'm like, I think that's Lo and Iridian. And then
we literally stood at that light for 10 minutes and we were like, is the signal going to come up? And Iridian's like, should we walk down more? No, she was like, let's just cross the street. And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not trying to get hit in another state. And then we're standing there and I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just do it. There's no cars coming. The lights are on the opposite sides. Let's just go. We're about halfway across and your bus driver honks at us and I damn near have a heart attack. So then we start running. I run first because I'm like, I'm already scared that someone's going to hit me. And then here comes Iridian right behind me. And you know who has a video of it? Kaycee.
Y'all look so good. I'm going to tell you that. I was like, wow, look at Lo's hair. She looks so good. I was like running. She's a track star. No, I know. I was so embarrassed because I was like, what do I do? Like, I was like, they can't hear me if I like tap on the glass or anything. So I was like, I'll record it, I guess. And then he honked while I was recording. I was like, what the hell? He was a crazy man. Crazy man.
Can I tell you, I thought it might have been like your idea, like afterwards. I was like, oh my God, maybe Kaycee was like, look, my friends honk at them.
No, he was honking at like everyone. That man, I don't even know if he was a legit bus driver. He popped out of the shadows. He came out. He was like, don't worry, get on my bus. Y'all go into the Marriott, come on my bus. And I was like, cool.
How many people were on the bus?
It was a standard like charter bus. So
okay.
It was easy, like over 50 people, I would say, you know, per bus. And there was like 4 or 5 different buses. So there was a lot of people that actually did the travel package, more than I expected. And it wasn't the same people every time I got on the bus. They were just filling them as you checked in. So we were always with random people. It didn't smell, so that was nice.
Yeah, that's very nice. Let's talk about the riser seating though, because we saw the riser seating when we originally picked out our seats, and we had heard from different people that they were not comfortable. So we decided to go up to the 200 level, and those were a little bit plushy. But do you recommend the riser seating for future WrestleManias?
I would suggest it if you don't mind holding your pee for the full time, because it's just awkward. We were in the center and like having to get up and like, you know, do the whole shuffle. And after the second time, you're getting the stank eye from everyone. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I have to pee. But I would suggest it if you want to be on TV, if you want to be like right there. It was a good spot, but I felt a little claustrophobic. I think we lucked out because there was actually a family next to us. And 5 minutes into the show, the little girl was like not having it. And so they got up and the dad was like, well, enjoy our seats. We're going to find somewhere where she can actually see. And they didn't come back for the rest of that night 1 and night 2. So we actually had a little bit of a cushion to spread out, but it was definitely uncomfortable. They had tied the seats together, so you couldn't even adjust them individually. They were all tied together as one row. So like after a while, it was just like little zigzags. So you would have some space, little space. It was really bad. If you don't mind holding your pee.
What were your thoughts on our seats, Iridian?
I thought that our seats were pretty cushioned. They were really comfortable. But I didn't like that it was only like a one-way kind of seating. So for us, kind of like Kaycee, we were very towards the end, and we couldn't get up and leave in that very close end. We had to go past a row of people if we wanted to get up, which we didn't end up getting up for food or to go pee. But I liked that they were cushioned. I just didn't like that there was only one way to get in and we couldn't leave through the other side. What did you think, Lo?
Same. I mean, I agree with you. I feel like I probably would have gotten up to get a drink or like food if we would have been, you know, had that extra side to go out on, but it was blocked off. So you only had that one way. And I wasn't trying to get up and shuffle with people numerous times. So that was one thing that I would probably change about the seats that we had. I mean, I think we had a good view, like we saw everything, but I think we need a women's section. I'm just going to plug that in right now, because I think that when you go to a wrestling show, like you should feel comfortable and you should feel like, okay, like I don't have to worry about any wild happening. Like I could sit back, relax, enjoy the show, whether it's with women around you or there's men and women or whatever. But I feel like that kind of took away from the experience, because night 1 was perfect. Everyone kind of minded their own business. Like they did their thing. And then night 2, we got there earlier. We were prepared. We're like, okay, we're here. We're good to go. So we come in and there's different people behind us. And I realized that once we had sat down and there was no one behind us for like probably like the first, 20, 30 minutes, like there was no one there. So I was like, oh, I wonder if the people from last night are coming back. And obviously like they wouldn't tell us the night before that they weren't coming back. So there were some guys that came and sat behind us, and child, I wish they would have lost their tickets in the mail. Like I wish SeatGeek would have not provided them the tickets like they tried to do us, because it was a mess. My thing is, when you go to a wrestling show, or you go anywhere for that matter, you know that you're around other people who might have similar or not the same likes as you, or they might have different viewpoints. And that's exactly what was going on. This guy was extremely sexist. He was racist. It was just annoying. And I'm the type of person where like I'll ignore it for a little while and just kind of be like, you know what? I'm here to enjoy the show. Like, yeah, it's annoying, but I'm just going to try and ignore it. Someone's knees were up my ass the whole time. So it was kind of hard to ignore that. But then a match came on, the Pat McAfee match. We were hyped. We were here for it. And then I feel this wet substance go up my back. And I knew it either had to be water, piss, or alcohol. So I was hoping it was water, but it was alcohol because I could just smell the beer. And I like looked back and I was like, what was that? And the two guys, so the one guy that was like racist and sexist, he was like not behind me. He was to the left. The guy that was behind him was his friend who was like barely talking back, but he was saying stupid stuff too. He's like, I don't know where that came from. It came from someone somewhere back there. I don't know. And I was kind of like, that like the way it flew, I knew it was coming from right behind me. So I was like, okay. And then like 3 seconds later, his friend's like, I'm so sorry. I spilled that. I don't know how that happened. And I was like, who's lying here? I need to know what Iridian thought because I was just like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. And this guy's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, you want me to buy you a drink? I was like, no.
I felt like we were in the Twilight Zone because, you know, we were in WrestleMania. Like we were looking at the stage and, you know, everybody was in the ring and Pat McAfee had just had like this really cool moment. And all of a sudden I feel something on my foot, like some drizzle. And I'm like, what is going on? Because anytime I sit, I'll like put my feet back. So like something splashed my foot. And I was like, if something splashed me, something is definitely on Low. And I turn around and Low is like conversating with the people in the back. And I was like, oh my God, no, like we have tried to avoid talking to people all WrestleMania. This man was clearly intoxicated. I just, there's no way that you should have been that like obnoxious and like not knowing what your surroundings were like. Good thing I had like my little hand sanitizer wipies with me.
Yes.
Because
Royal Rumble taught her, do not leave the house without some wet wipes because you might have to wipe your seat off. Thank you, Vince McMahon.
Thank you, Vince, for humbling me one time. And that's all I needed. Low's seat was completely like there was water everywhere, alcohol everywhere. So we were wiping it down. And that's when the guy was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can I buy you a drink? And we were literally looking at this man like, why? Why would there's no reason.
So you can spill it on me again?
Yes.
Well, and you know, I was thinking about that too, because like it wasn't like a cup policy, right? Like I know, I guess not a lot of stadiums do bottles anymore. Why? I don't know. I mean, I understand like
they're scared of people throwing it.
That's what I was thinking. But I was like, I feel like this is so much more of a disaster with cups because you get more spills, especially with those tight seating. And man, from the riser, we only had one exit. So like we had to walk out, y'all. It was like full flood on the floor walking out night 1 and night 2 because people would just leave their drinks and then you knock it over as you're walking. So it was like, I was so worried about those Eddie Guerrero boots. Luckily they were a little higher, but my little loafers, like they're done for. They're soaked from all the liquid that was on the floor. It was so gross. So I was like, I mean, I get like throwing is dangerous, like throwing a bottle is dangerous, but I just don't see the benefit of having the little cups. I feel like it's more of a disaster because then you get incidents like that where
right. Yeah, I mean, that goes back to my point of I think we need a women's section or we need a section where the fans just can relax and watch the show without having to worry about, you know, someone being sexist or racist. I mean, obviously Vince McMahon is not going to run a personality test on people when they buy a ticket, but I think that, you know, people should be comfortable when they go to a wrestling show. This is, you know, just like a football game or a soccer game or, you know, a ballet show. It's a hobby that you want to go and you want to enjoy. And obviously I still had a good time at the show, but it definitely had me a little bit salty because my whole back was wet. And I feel like while we're also on this topic, we need to talk about personal hygiene. Kaycee, let's talk about your section. What did it smell like?
It smelled completely fine. It was at the hotel and at Wrestlecon is where I smelled lots of smells. So, you know, elevator going up and down, that's where I smelt it. Luckily, our section was very clean. Didn't smell too bad. I know y'all had a couple of stinkers.
Iridian, go ahead.
Where do I even start? So for Monday Night Raw. So Lo and I were by ourselves at the end of the row. So we were very close. We were right by the aisle. And there was 2 empty seats next to me. And Lo was like, well, if nobody shows up, like we'll just move over. But I was like, oh, it's the Raw after Mania. I don't know if that's going to be empty. So these guys ended up coming late, and this man walks by us to sit next to me. And Lo originally thought this man had food. He did
I
not.
thought he had a hot dog.
Yeah. He did not have any hot dog. That was just the smell of him. And I didn't notice it at first. It took like a little minute for his funk to kind of, take over. So
Waft your way.
Yes, for the breeze. We needed the breeze. So I was sitting there and I was like, oh, this smells like pits. And that smell, but it was a little bit more intense than that. So I was like, I wonder if Lo can smell it. And Lo literally had a face that she was like, this is not for me. Take me out. Like, we're done. I don't know. This man was also intrigued by like a lot of the reactions that we had. So like when we were cheering for Dominic, like he would like look over at us like, wow, like, they're cheering, or I don't know, like everything that we did was like amazing. So I don't know what it was, but I did not appreciate how he smelled. And also his friend next to him, I don't know if he also smelled, but he didn't say anything. So I'm like, why would you not say anything? Like, bro, like, I don't want him cheering, putting his hands up. I was telling Lo afterwards that I'm going to start taking like the spray deodorant. So when men put their hands up, I'll just be like, really quick. And
real sneak light. Well, I was like, didn't WWE have like a sponsorship with Old Spice for a while? I was like, why don't they pass out those little mini or have them on each seat as a little prize? Like, come on.
The Snickers, give us some deodorant.
I know they had bowls at Access. They should just have little roll-ons, little sprays, something.
This is a public service announcement. When you go to a wrestling show, I don't care if you're going up the street to your grandma's wrestling school, you're going to Wrestlemania, please put on deodorant, wash your ass before you leave the house. It's a nice thing to be clean. The first thing that Iridian said when she saw Kaycee was that she was fresh. She looked like she had just taken a shower. I feel like we need to have that same opinion about everyone that we meet in the wrestling community. Some people, they smell good this weekend, okay? They brought their nicest perfume. Others, it smelled like they had just detoxed their armpits to go natural with the deodorant. Let's not do that. Let's not do that when we go to humid Dallas, okay? That's all I got to say. Don't pull that shit in LA either, because I'm not with it.
I mean, like, seriously, why do we want to feed that stereotype that wrestling fans are smelly? Like, it takes no effort to put a little bit of deodorant on.
The trauma is real.
It seriously, it permeated in there, and it's embedded forever. Don't want to smell that again.
Let's talk about Wrestlecon. So Wrestlecon is a great experience for any type of wrestling fan, whether you've been watching for many years or you're a new fan, to meet the superstars or former wrestlers or current wrestlers that you might not be able to meet, at like meet and greets or anything like that. So Wrestlecon had a very diverse lineup. They had AEW wrestlers, they had indie wrestlers, they had legends, they had a lot of people there. Who exactly did you meet, Kaycee? And tell us about your experience.
I actually only met 2 people, and then my husband met two others. So I met Danhausen. He was the first one. Super nice, in a corner by himself, like, poor guy. Super excited to meet him. And then I met John Hennigan, who like is my all-time favorite wrestler. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I was kind of disappointed with the interaction for how it went down. Oh, no. I know, they always say, oh, like, don't meet your heroes, but like, I was like, well, it's John, it's gonna be cool. He showed up an hour and a half late, later than his wife did. His wife was already there, and like she had her glasses on or whatever. He showed up, he still had his glasses on, and I walked up to his table. There was somebody ahead of me, and they were getting something signed in a picture. And so I was next, and he saw my shirt right away, which I was wearing a Johnny Mundo shirt. And he was like, oh, cool shirt. But he kind of like, he was like, oh, cool. And I was like, oh, awesome. I was like, it's so wonderful to meet you. You're my favorite wrestler. And he was like, oh, he was like, it's so nice to be met. And I'm like, okay. And then, so, he puts his arm around me, we take our picture, and he starts doing my signature on the picture, and he grabs a red marker, and it's like a black photo, and he starts signing it, and you can't see it. And I'm like, and he was like, how do you spell your name? And I'm spelling it out, and he puts one E. He was like, is that it? And I was like, there's two E's in it. And so he fixes it. And then he realizes that it's too dark. And then he goes and grabs like another marker, and then he just starts going over it in a silver marker. So I was like, okay. And I was like, I really love what you do. You're such an innovative wrestler, and, you're constantly changing up what you do. And I think that's so impressive. And that's why I've only been watching wrestling for a short amount of time, but you're my favorite. And he's like, well, thank you so much. That's why we do it. And then that was it. And I walked away. I know he was really nice, but it was that mellow tone, like kind of like out of it kind of feel. I was like, I know he had a match the night before, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. So I was like, he was either really tired from the night before or he was hungover. I don't know. It was sad. It was very disappointing.
I'm sorry your interaction was like that.
That makes me very sad.
Oh no.
I still love him. He's still my favorite. Like, I'm not going to change my opinion about him, because we don't know what these wrestlers do, throughout that weekend outside of the shows that they're doing. They're hustling. They're trying to get their name out there, be on shows and stuff. So that's why I was like, I can't judge him based off of that interaction. But given that is my favorite, and that's the first time meeting him, it was kind of like off-putting a little bit.
I feel like, just that sometimes it happens. Exactly. We don't know what like the wrestlers have gone through, like the day before, what their schedule was like. That's kind of like how my interaction, like before I had met Lita, not this year. In the past, I met Lita, and my interaction was also not that great. And I was very like sad because I'm like, like, I love Lita, like this, she's amazing. And she just didn't give me back what I gave her. And of course, like I didn't expect that, but it was like, oh, I left and I was like, maybe she didn't like want to talk to me, like maybe, but she was at a table and it was a photo op. So I don't know, maybe, you'll get another chance, and I do believe it'll be better. Yeah,
I think so too. I was like, I think it just might've just been the weekend itself and everything. So here's to that. But I'd love to hear, I know y'all met a lot more than I did. So
we were booked and busy.
I know y'all were hustling. You were like, when I ran into y'all, which that was probably the best part of WrestleCon, was meeting you two in person.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get to, because I feel like we saw you and then everything was like slow motion. We were like,
yes, it truly was. I felt like it, and it seemed like everyone was running past us, but when you came by, it was just us. And then Kurt Angle kind of like walked by. I was really confused, but it was just us.
It was
exactly.
And
all
then
blur.
We walked to each other and we're like, oh my God. And I feel like we were just so excited to see each other because this was like the first time that we were all meeting like in person. And I was telling Lo before, I was like, oh my God, it's crazy because I've only interacted with Kaycee on social media, like, through Instagram and like very similar tweets. And it's like very minimal interaction. But like when we talked, it felt like, oh my God, like we had been friends for so long. And I was like, oh my God, I really love her. Like, she's so great.
That's how I felt too. I know. Well, I was like, well, Lo and I did the interview together, or, for Wrestling Winedown. And it was like, it's professional Lo and everything. And so I felt very professional. I was like, but meeting y'all together and like in person, I was like, oh my God, these are my friends.
We're very professional.
Just so cool. That was probably my favorite meet. And I didn't have to chunk out $60.
Girl, and we did not charge you. And we got stickers.
Exactly. So that was my favorite interaction.
Iridian, let's talk about our experience.
Okay.
So we walked in and
wait. First of all, we were like sleep deprived.
Yes.
Very, very.
Because y'all went to that GCW show, right?
And next thing you know, it was like 3 a.m. and we're like, oh no, we have to be at the Kelly meet and greet at 9 a.m. So I had no idea. I was like, okay, Lo, so if we go to sleep now, and then if we have to be there at 9, that means we have to leave like at 8 and be ready at 7:45. So I'm like, we're going to get like 3 hours of sleep, maybe 3.5 max. And we were running on like maybe 3.5 hours of sleep. And I'm like, all right, we just got to pack on the makeup and we're going to be taking pictures of wrestlers all day. We're going to have these, like, we paid for this. But the GCW show was great. And like, once we walked into Wrestlecon, we walked in with Ricci and we didn't even know. we turned around and we're like, oh my God. And Lo was like, that's Rikishi. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's no way like that. I don't even have words, but like I had anxiety the whole time because I had never been in a place like this where the wrestlers look at you and make eye contact as you're walking by and, you know, saying hi and they talk to you and you're just like, what is going on? Like,
we definitely did like 2 laps because I was like, this is so crazy. It was very overwhelming because like, Iridian's been to like C2E2, so I feel like she was a little bit, okay, she kind of knows the format. Like, I've never done anything like this before. It was extremely overstimulating. I'm like seeing people that I've watched on TV for years.
Mm-hmm. You have to build up like the courage to like interact with them because you're like, I don't want to sound like an idiot or crazy person or just stare at them, you know, like it was very overstimulating and overwhelming.
So first person we met was Kelly. She is so beautiful.
That woman is stunning.
Yes.
Like, and listen, all of the women that we met there, they're all so tiny, so small. And I was like looking at all of them and I just couldn't believe it. But Kelly was very kind. And we talked to her about her Royal Rumble gear. And I feel like she like knew that we just appreciated her. So she was very nice to us.
Yes, she was very nice. And then did you meet Maria right after that?
I did. Maria was, I don't know if she was at the next table or maybe like a couple tables over. Yeah. But Maria Kanellis, who I also love because she's from Chicago and also very sweet. All of the women that we met, just like my expectations, they exceeded them because there was no, like I went in there very nervous and I thought that like, well, maybe because of who they are, they'd be like a little stuck up or, you know, maybe even a little rude, but everyone was super nice. Even the guys that we met. And that really caught me by surprise, but it was a nice surprise.
And then we met Colt Cabana.
Okay.
So jealous. I saw him, but I didn't get the courage to go up to him.
Yeah, we went up to him and Iridian was like, I want to take a picture. So I took the picture and then Iridian was like, I'm from Chicago. Lo's from Las Vegas. She was like, I tried to mail her a trading card for you and it got lost in the mail. Mind you, at this point, we've switched places. I'm standing next to him and I was like, yeah, like, I don't know where UPS sent it to. And we take the picture, whatever. And he's like, I got something for you. He goes in his little bag, his little Nike gym bag. He's like, here you go. And it was a trading card. And I was just like, that's
you sweet man.
The sweetest.
That was very
adorable.
Nice.
I thought it was funny that he was so open. Like, I guess comfortable and open and be like, oh, well, you know, this and this. And we were like,
yes. What? Yes. I was like, oh, wow. Okay.
And he was saying it loud enough for QT Marshall, who was next to him, and nobody was taking pictures with QT Marshall.
I don't be throwing shade at QT like that.
QT Marshall here.
Didn't you feel so bad passing some of the wrestlers that were just like sitting there? Like, I was like, oh, no.
It was very sad. You would take a picture at one table and they'd be like right there and they're kind of like,
they stuck Arn Anderson next
I'm trying to get
Jeff
like you.
Hardy. Like,
they stuck Arn Anderson next to Jeff
Hardy. And Jeff Hardy had that long ass, we stood in it for 2.5 hours. Poor Arn was just there on his phone. And I was like, why would you put that poor man in a corner next to Jeff Hardy? And in between, like, what's Hogan's daughter?
Brooke Hogan.
Yeah, it was Brooke and then Arn and then Jeff. And so Arn was just in this little niche all by himself. And I was, the whole time we were in line, I was like, that poor man.
Can we talk about how long some of the lines were? Because, you know, obviously they had like Jeff Hardy there. They had William Regal there, which we will definitely get to that. But Jeff Hardy, okay, we came there with intentions that we would meet Jeff Hardy directly after we met Kelly. We walked to the line and we're like, holy shit, this is the line. So, and then we find out he's only doing cash. Okay, booked and busy Jeff Hardy, take your cash, okay? So Iridian's like, oh, I think I have enough. Okay, I'm good. So I'm like, okay, we'll just wait in line. And we're kind of just hanging out. The line's barely moving. And then Teddy Long walks by. Like, I don't know if it was like the 3 hours of sleep or what, but I was the only person that talked to him. And I said, holla, holla. And he was like, holla back at you. And I was like,
great, perfect. Best interaction.
And then I looked at Iridian and I was like, am I okay? Do I need to go home? You're done. You're done.
That line was very, very long for Jeff. And at one point I was like counting my cash and I'm like, okay, but what if there's other people that I want to meet? And I'd run out of cash because I paid for this picture with Jeff. So I had to make an executive decision and I'm like, all right, Lo, I think we can leave.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
You remember the scholastic book fairs that they would have at the schools, and your parent or your mom would give you just enough money, and you got to count your money, make sure that you have enough for your little books, your bookmark, your stickers. You know, you might see something else you want. You got to make that decision. That's what that just reminded me of.
Do I want the gel pen or do I want the bookmark? Yeah. I can't buy the poster. I don't have enough.
Jeff was the poster that day.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, we waited 2.5 hours. And the only reason why we waited that long was because my husband had met Matt Hardy like last month or so. And so he had the signature of Matt on the same photo. So I was like, we have to complete it. When are we ever going to complete that, you know? So I was like, it's fine. So it was worth it. I think the reason why it took so long is because Jeff was like genuinely interacting with every single, like he was trying to give each person like a genuine moment. I know, like he was out there dancing with people, like talking, asking questions, full hugs, like, and that's why I was like, I think it took him that long is because he would just go like full hour spans of
dancing. How much were they charging? They were charging 60?
It was like $60.
So.
Right?
They were charging $60 to dance for Jeff Hardy, and we stepped out the line.
I know. I didn't know they were doing all this. Please.
Yeah. And so that's why I was like, that's why his line was taken, because he was, you could tell he was making it a point to be Jeff Hardy and like, you're meeting me, like, let's make this a moment. And I think that you have to give props for that.
So your husband met Bret Hart too. Would you say it was like the same experience there? Like
well, I mean, my husband was super excited because Bret Hart's like one of his favorites, but like, you know, he's older. So he stayed seated, you know, it was a very quick handshake and, you know, he was signing, but it was so funny. Like I was waiting, I didn't get in line with him. I was like, whatever, they're going to take the picture. And the guy who was like handling Bret, like was staring at me. And I was like, okay. And then when my husband got out of line, he was like, this one right here. He's like, whatever this is between you two, he's like, keep it. Cause she's a good one. Like she was she was genuinely happy for you. Okay. Random man. Thank you.
You said, thank you for your input, sir.
Yeah. Your unwanted opinion of my genuine happiness for my husband meeting Bret Hart. Like, okay, whatever. I don't care.
Aww.
But yeah. So it was a good interaction, but I think my husband was shy and, you know, Bret's Bret Hart, whatever.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good.
Then we had like some type of like AEW room that was like next to where Jeff Hardy was at. And it had like Mark Henry. I guess it's not all AEW because you had Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Billy Gunn, his sons, who I didn't know the name of one of them when we got in there. I'm so sorry, Colton. I'm so sorry.
Kaycee was like, oh, I'm on it. Boom.
I'm Googling it.
Because we were all still together at this point. We all went to the gun club. And Kaycee was like, yeah, guys, let's go. And then I'm walking there with Lo, and then we're at the table, and I'm like, Lo's doing the talking, and I turn around. Kaycee is like 3 or 4 feet behind. I was like, Kaycee, you said, let's go.
I have never been so confident walking up to a wrestler as I was walking up to Austin Gunn. I still don't know where exactly I gained that confidence from that day. I have no idea. I went up to that man and I told him he should have been charging more because he was on E! Network. I had no idea what his rates were when I told him that. And he said that to me. He was like, you don't even know how much I'm charging. I was like, I don't need to know.
And she had her card ready. She's like, don't need to
He was like, okay, whatever. 40. I said, okay. And then he tried to charge the guy behind us, the little boy, $400. I said, I know that's right. Make your money. Don't let him make you. I think those are some of the best pictures that I took that day. They were very nice. They look like models. They need to do more. They need to charge more.
They look like they had just come from Abercrombie, girl.
They did. They look, you know what? You know what they look? They look fresh. They look bathed. Okay.
Like they just stepped out of the shower. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, they did.
And Lance Archer was standing like right next to them. I had no idea that he was looking at this whole interaction. I guess Iridian realized it. I'm sorry, Lance, I did not take a picture with you.
He was one of those ones just standing there. I was like,
yes. And I felt
man.
bad. I was like, damn, maybe we should have taken a picture with Lance because he also seems like a nice guy. And he was
does.
Just like, well, he shouldn't have been in that room. A lot of people should have switched.
I think there was a lot of placement that they could have done a little bit better. Like Danhausen should have been next to them because they're kind of going back and forth. Like they should have been right next to each other, but they weren't.
He was in a completely different ballroom. Yeah.
Yeah. That ballroom was a little bit of a mess, though, to be honest with. The lines were not organized. Like Adam Cole and Britt Baker had a line so long, it was longer than the Kane's line on the second day of WrestleMania. And everyone was like, are you at the end of the line? Which line are you in? Where are you going? Where are you at? And then Penta and Ray Phoenix came at another line. It's like all over the place. And I'm just like, where does the line end? And no one is organized up there. Like there's no one like in charge of the line, it seemed like. So, you know, people are jumping in front of people. It was just a mess. But Iridian met Britt Baker. And I think I know how tall Adam Cole is. But let's talk about Iridian's experience meeting Britt Baker.
First of all, I was super excited. And I think when we got there, Britt wasn't there yet. So we kind of like did, you know, a couple laps. And it was after we had met Kaycee, because I even asked you, Kaycee, I'm like, did you see Britt Baker? Is she there yet?
Yeah.
And she was still not there yet. So when we had walked back, she was finally there. And I'm like, all right, cool. This is it. So we were trying to find the line, but it was weird because Adam's line had a tail that like looped around one way and Britt's was in the opposite direction. So there was a lot of confusion and everyone was like, are you going to meet Britt? Are you going to meet Adam? And Christian was right next to them and Christian had no line.
Which made me sad.
I especially like you're like Christian doesn't have a line. Like there's no way. Like I feel like you could have put like Christian and Jeff, you know, maybe like them together, kind of like to, you know, to feed off of that. But it didn't happen. But I'm in line to meet Britt Baker, and I'm very excited because I have my Britt Baker T-shirt on, which is rhinestoned and bedazzled by me. That's
beautiful.
Like hours. And I was very, very nervous because I was scared that Britt was going to be a little mean. But she was so kind and she like had a genuine conversation, and she said she liked my rhinestones and that her seamstress would be, you know, impressed because it was just a really good job. And I told her that she was a really good role model. She's my role model, and that I loved her so much. And she was just so nice to me.
And she took a video of your shirt. Don't forget
I was going to say, she took pictures of you, right?
Yes,
I mean, that's cool.
She's like, let me send a video to my seamstress. And she gets her phone and I'm like looking at her, put her code in. And I'm like, I shouldn't look at her, put her code in. Like, what am I doing looking? And she's like, oh, like, you know, she took a video, and I was just in shock like the whole time. And I was also very nervous. I feel like my cheeks were flushed in the video. Like you could see that I'm like a little red because like I'm so nervous. But Lo did such a great job taking that video. Thank you, friend, because I appreciate you and the good moments that you captured at WrestleCon.
We were standing in line waiting to meet Britt Baker, and I was like, Adam Cole is not 6 foot. And then I started looking at Britt Baker and I Googled how tall she was. And then I looked at Adam and I was like, he is definitely like 5'9", 5'10". And you know what, Adam? If you're somehow listening to this, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be 6 foot. He was so nice. He was so nice. I did not meet him, but I was watching him meet other people, and you could tell he was just so genuine and so kind. I'm like, how is this man a heel most of his career? He is so sweet. He looks like a little bunny.
Yes. Lo was so funny. She's like, oh my God, he's like a little bunny. And I was like, what? But
it's like something in his facial expressions. I don't know. So adorable.
The way that they both interact, I feel like that's why they're such a cute couple. But like, oh my goodness, the fact that they really gave time to their fans is just something that I just really appreciated. And I had met Adam Cole before, which is why I didn't want to get in line to Adam's line, because first of all, it was super long. But last time when I met Adam, he was sitting. So I was like, damn it, I wanted to know how tall he was. Like,
we would have known this time.
Oh, we would have known. You're right. We would have known. Yeah. Next time.
Who else did we meet? We met
what about Jazz and Jacqueline?
Yes, I met Jazz and Jacqueline. I was so nervous. Awesome. I think I was more nervous to meet Jacqueline than I was Jazz. Jacqueline was the sweetest woman that I've ever met. Like, it was so sweet. I was like, oh my God. I don't even remember what I said, Iridian. Like, do you remember? Because I honestly don't remember. I was just like, I cannot believe I'm meeting this woman in person right now.
I tried to like step back to give you like your moment, because we also had to go, you know, loop around a couple times because Lo was like, no, not yet. Let's go around another time. Yeah. So we would have to like go back, and I'm like, okay, like it's fine because, you know, we have to work our way up there. So we're going to be okay. And Lo was also, you were speaking really like low. So I couldn't
Lo was speaking low. I think I told her, I was like, you are so inspiring. Like, I know I showed her the shirt that I made. I did show her that, and I told her that I was a podcaster. She's like, maybe I'll have to call in. And I was like, girl, you don't have to call in. It's Zoom, but okay, I would love to have you on. I gave her my card.
Set the Google Calendar. right now.
I gave her my card and she was so nice. And then she took a picture with both I and then Iridian and myself. And then she was like, look at the pictures and let me know if they look good. We could always retake them.
Too good of an interaction.
She was so sweet. And then I met Jazz. Oh my God. I feel like Jazz gives off like this auntie energy, like don't her. Like, and that, I just love that because I was talking to her and you could just tell she was like, she is that. But then she took the picture with me. She was so nice. I showed her the shirt. She liked it. First of all, when I saw Jacqueline was announced, I was so hyped. And then Jazz was announced like as part of the NWA series. So they were at a table like with a couple performers. And I saw Jazz was like on the first day that we got in. And I was like, damn, I was like, it would be really nice if she was like there outside of that. And we walked up. And I saw Melina first. And of course I freaked out. And then I saw Jazz and I was like, Iridian. I was like, I just can't. And I was already like, just over the moon that Melina was there, which we'll get into that as well. But I was just like, I was trying to stand there. Iridian's over here getting her cup of tea brewed for Mr. Regal. And I'm over here having a heart attack.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad you found William because you were when we met, you were talking about, you're like, I haven't seen him. I don't know where he is. I'm so glad you
did. When I tell you, we were leaving the room and I don't remember what exactly happened, but all I heard was, oh my God, William Regal's here. And I look and the lady that's at the Godfather's table was kind of like, and I was like, Iridian, shh.
You cannot shush your excitement.
But then he was like right in the front of us. And I was like, she was completely quiet. No more screaming, just quiet. I was like, oh.
I had no words. Like when I saw this man, I was like, took my breath away. Like, first of all, he was dressed so nicely for every other wrestler that was there in just like their regular, like maybe leather jacket and jeans. William Regal said, nah, I'm going to go get my tailored fitted pants. And
I know that's
vest.
right.
He said, I got the money. I got the budgets. So I am going to. And his line was also very long. And while we were in line, that's when we saw, Melina and Jazz. And Lo was distracted looking at them. Meanwhile, William Regal is like looking through like his line and he sees me and he says, oh, and he like waves. And I was like, Lo, William Regal just waved at me. And she's like, what? And I'm like, you missed it. I thought you were looking like...
He like pointed you out and
he saw and he said hi and I was like, oh my God, what does he think I'm somebody else? Like, but I was like the only girl in the line. So
I think the reason why the line was so long was because William Regal was with WWE for so long. Like fans did not get the opportunity to meet him, and I think it's the same thing with Jeff. These fans never had the opportunity to meet these superstars or these wrestlers because WWE wasn't letting them do like outside things. So I think that's why their line was so long, but definitely Regal. I mean, damn, he's like what, 2 months free, 3 months free. Like people want to meet him.
Yes, this man is brand new into, now being able to do photo shoots and meet and greets. And I was just, oh my God, I didn't even know what I was going to tell him. I was talking to Lo about it like all weekend. I'm like, what do I even say to this man? Like, I have no words. So I get up there. First of all, I asked if he was taking cash. And what did that guy say, Lo? Do you remember what he said?
No.
Something about like, oh, he takes cash, credit, and like tea or something. I don't remember.
Tea?
Yeah, so it was like a third thing. And I'm like, that's a very like English thing to say. But
he takes the royal dollar?
The euro.
Check?
I give Lo the camera and William like fixes his hair. And I was like, oh my God, I'm such a huge fan. And he's like, you must not know me then if you're a fan of me. But he said it like playfully. And he had his hand up to like take the picture, like if he was like, and he puts it down, like he realized that he had his hand up. And he's like, oh no, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, no, don't worry. Like, you could take the picture however you want. Like it's fine. You could put up whatever you want. And he's like, no, not in the presence of a lady. Please.
What is this, Bridgerton? Oh my God.
I wanted to pass out, Kaycee. I'm like, did you really just say that, William Regal? He was
and I didn't realize he said that until she told me after. And I was like, what? He did? And I went and watched the video and I was like, oh,
wow.
Gentleman.
Did you like curtsy after?
Please, I didn't even know. I just told him how much more I loved him. I'm like, I honestly, like, I'm such a very huge fan. And he's like, oh, thank you. He's like, you must be my only one. He's like, I know there was one out there. It's probably you. And he told me that he liked that I came and I actually took a picture with him because a lot of other people just went to go get things autographed by him. So he said, so thank you so much. And I was like, oh, please. I almost got back in line, Kaycee.
Well,
Round
I told
two.
her. I mean, his
Get that
pictures were
Mickey
only
fast pass.
30. I would have gone up and said, I want 6 pictures.
He was only charging $30. Sir, please, you are almost giving these away.
Him and Austin Gunny topped their prices.
Oh,
It's
my
crazy.
God. Yeah.
We met Melina, and I was very surprised that Melina is so talkative. Like, I honestly thought that she would be another one where it would be like, oh yeah, thanks so much for coming by type of thing. But she was like so talkative and attentive. I told her that I had her theme song as my ringtone in the 3rd grade on my pink razor. And she's like, I had a pink razor too. And I was like, bad link up. It was a really nice experience.
Lord Jesus. So I had talked to Melina for like a little bit before I told her that, like, I was just really glad that when I was watching her growing up, I saw someone that looked like me. And all of a sudden, like, her eyes changed and they got watery. And then I like noticed her emotion and I'm like, oh my God, am I getting emotional? And then I was having trouble talking, like, to get the rest of my sentences out. But she's like, you know what? This is like what this is all about. Like, I want to be representation, for women of color, for, different countries, just representing women all together. And just what a beautiful person. Like,
She
oh my
really
goodness.
is.
There was a guy who was in front of us and he was talking to her for like 15 minutes. And she would, just kept, talking to him, and she really, like, he got his money's worth. I'll tell you that. Like,
She was really nice. Like, again, like I said, I think she played a heel for so long. And I think I grew up thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to meet this woman. And she's going to be like, okay, thank you. Bye. But so nice. Like, I'll never forget that.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Then we did meet Johnny Gargano. All I said to Johnny Gargano was hello and took the picture and walked away. I think I was more perplexed about the experience that happened before that, when I was standing waiting and I looked to my right and Tony Storm was right there and we made eye contact and I freaked out and I was like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. I realized after, like, I could have just not said anything. I don't know why I had to hit on this woman.
When are you ever going to get a chance?
True.
It's like, shoot your shot.
I almost was going to be like, girl, you making your money. I almost went that far and I was like, you know what? Because I don't know how she might take it. Like, let me just shut the fuck up and just go meet Johnny Gargano. I told him his baby was cute, He is cute. You saw him doing the little peace sign the other day on Twitter.
Oh my God. They have the cutest baby. Johnny Gargano is also very nice. And I think he made it a point to, like, have a conversation with you, like, no matter what, because I was like, oh, hi, Johnny. And he's like, oh, hey, I like your shirt. So all of a sudden, like, he said something and I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, I talked about his dog parties that he has for his doggy. And I brought up Indy and Dexter. And he also said he liked my shirt because he's like, oh, I had a hand in creating Britt Baker. So I was like, oh, so thank you. Thank you for that. Like, but yeah, we also met Jay White.
Jay White and Chris Bay.
Yes, that was crazy.
That was nice. Nice little family photo that we got. It did look like a family photo.
10 out of 10.
It was very nice. Very nice interaction. They were nice.
Yes. And while I think you were buying a shirt from Chris Bay, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to get in the line for Ray and Penta for the Lucha Brothers, because that line was starting to get long. And I'm like, no. And we were like, okay, what time do we have to leave? Because it's WrestleMania today. So we got to go and get ready. And it was like 11. So we're like, all right, we got to, like, figure it out. And Penta and Ray were also fantastic. I was having, like, a little, like, laughing moment with them. I think they were a good time. 10 out of 10 interaction.
The little video interaction of y'all, it was so cool. Their line was way too long for us to be able to, like, fit in. But yeah, I was very jealous when you posted that. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
I think the final one we met was Victoria, which was, like, on my list because I had interviewed her the year before. And she was just so nice and kind. And she was like, usually at these things, like, they give you handlers, like, people that help you with stuff. And she's like, we don't have that this time. I was like, why didn't you call me?
I know. I was like, where can we sign up to be like volunteers for these things? Because that would have been fun.
And they, they did have volunteers there, but I don't know what the extent was. I guess before we like wrap up this Wrestlecon part of the episode, I do want to bring up two things. One, the lady in front of us at the William Regal line was so perplexed that Katie Forbes barely had anything on. She damn near put her hand over her son's eyes when she walked by, and she was like, whoa, she looked back, she's like, did you see that? And Iridian's like, yes, I did.
I think I even told her, I was like, you look cute. Like,
yes, she did.
Like, yeah.
She's like, thank you. First of all, I'd already saw her twerk on Thursday night, so I was not surprised by anything. And secondly, Izzy Mania. Okay, we need to have this conversation. A girl talk, okay? Why are grown men taking pictures with children and paying for it? I think that is so weird. The fact that she was up there, we walked past her, we looked right at her, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's actually here. And I was nosy the other night. I was like, I wonder how many people actually met her. I saw one woman and the rest were men, and they looked too excited for me. It was disgusting. I understand that this young girl needs to make her money. She wants to be in the wrestling community. That's fine. But like, there is a point where I feel like you cross the line, and I feel like grown men paying money to take a picture with a 16 or 17-year-old is where that line is crossed.
Yeah. And you know what? It would have been different if there were like, if all the parents took their kids to go meet Izzy, because they're like, oh my God, we know who Izzy is. So like, let's have all of our kids go and take a picture with Izzy. But that wasn't like that. It was grown men over the age of 30 who were just like, who paid to take a picture with a child. And I don't know, it doesn't sit right with, it doesn't sit right with me, and it shouldn't sit right with you either. Like, why is it happening?
I know. It's like, how can you like proudly stand there waiting in line to take photo? Like, it's weird. I was like, you don't think that this doesn't look weird to anybody else passing by? I know of her. I don't follow her, but sometimes ever so often a post will come into my Twitter feed and I'll read some of the comments, and it's just, it was just creepy. Like, reading the comments, I was like, well, now you get to see those people in real life, stand and be very excited to see her. It's, it's just it makes you feel weird. I was like,
I think it was weird when it was announced.
Yeah.
Because I think about how the timeline was, and people are like, this is inappropriate. And then you had some people who are like, why are you bullying a 16 or 17-year-old? Like, she's just trying to make her money. It's not about bullying this little girl. It's predatory that these men are coming out and they're meeting her and paying for it. And they don't see the issue with it. Like, when I tell you, there was one in particular that I saw that was just like grinning ear to ear, I physically was sick, because I'm like, why are you this excited to meet a kid? Let's just stop there. You need to book the first flight home. I know I said that on that Wrestlemania episode. Like, if you're going out to Wrestlemania, and you see superstars, or you're trying to stalk superstars at the airport, you need to take the first flight home. You should have took the first flight home if you're so excited to meet a 16-year-old. Chris Hansen's gonna get your ass. Believe that.
Oh man, I know. Where's Chris Hansen when we need him? Where is he?
So we went to a show called Planet Death, and this was a GCW show, and we had never experienced a GCW show before. So I kind of, in the back of my head, when we did, the Britney, the show, she had kind of like mentally prepared me for, okay, this is what you're going to expect. And, if we go, this is what we're going to do. It was nothing like I had ever experienced and imagined, because I was scared.
Yes, we should have called our moms.
There was an initial like shock factor. But I was very excited because we got to hang out with Britney, and we had never met Britney in person.
And we saw Tamia too.
Yes, I'd never met them in
Britney's friend Stephanie.
Yes, but everybody was so nice, and I was very scared because there was like staple guns, and they were stapling each other's foreheads, and there was a lot of blood, and there was a lot of lights and glass. So the first time they brought out a light and they shattered it on someone, Lo and I literally were so loud. We were like, and I realized in that moment, you can't do that because you'll inhale the glass. Like, so
I didn't even think about that too, Sarah. I was like, oh my God. Yep. The little shards.
Yes. The little shards. Like, and we were standing like at the last row where the chairs were. Lo, what was your initial reaction getting to the show and just seeing that for the first time?
I was absolutely shocked. These people were up at 12 o'clock at night and they were hyped over this. I was scared. Light bulbs, trash cans. It looked like Lowe's had a sale and they bought everything that was in that. okay? Oh my God. And they do that every night when they're up there.
Night.
That's wild.
Every night.
Now,
Brittany was into it.
Yeah, I have a question. I was gonna say, what was the ratio to like male to female audience?
It was all men. There was two women sprinkled over here, 3 women sprinkled over there, but the majority were definitely men.
Yeah,
it was very much giving like celebrity death match for me. Like the men were like standing up, they're like into it. Not the first night that we went, but the second night we went for Joey Janela's show. Joey Janela likes to involve the crowd. So like he was in the crowd at some points, like he was eating somebody's chips. They were very involved for that show. Planet Death, I feel like they stayed more in the ring because I think they were just like, we have way too much going on already with all these different objects in here. We don't want to hurt anyone, but so extreme. And Iridian met Nasty Leroy the first night. She was like, Lo, I want to take a picture with Nasty Leroy. I was like, are you serious? And she was like, yeah, I want to take a picture with Nasty Leroy. He's right there. Can you take the picture? And I was like, okay. And she's like, Leroy, can we take a picture? He's like, yeah.
I was very excited to meet Nasty Leroy just because during the pandemic, Joey Janela started this thing called Janela Zone where he would go on Instagram Live and he would interact with literally all of the people who were watching the live. He'd be like, all right, guys, who am I talking to next? And he would pick people so he would just talk to his fans and it was just amazing. But he would have Leroy on and Leroy just provided hours and hours of entertainment. I don't care what anybody says about his wrestling skills. That man is entertaining. So I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get this moment again. Lo, you have to take this picture. And he was chill. So the next night we were like, okay, it's going to be Joey Janela Spring Break Part 2 because we had missed Part 1. And we got there and we saw Effie and Suzuki having a match. And I had never known anything about Suzuki before he made his AEW appearance. And Effie is an independent wrestler, so I had only seen him like once or twice before. But this was Lo's first time seeing Effie in the ring. Lo, what did you think about that?
He's sassy. He really is. I like him.
I
will watch him again.
You also got to experience the Invisible Man.
I know that the independent circuit is going to be like this, but like, I didn't get it. And you were so into it. You're like, Lo, it's the Invisible Man. Like, you just have to keep up with him. And I was like, all right. And she's like, whoa. And she was into it. And I was like, it's 1:00 at night. How you doing all this with them? Like, I don't get it. It would come back during different times and fight with these people. I'm like, is anyone going to eliminate him? Joey Janela damn near eliminated everybody in the match, but could not eliminate the Invisible Man. Like, Joey, get your priorities straight.
Oh, gosh. And that was during the cluster. That was the main event. And that's what we really wanted to see.
Yes. We stayed up after WrestleMania to see Sean Ross Sapp wrestle at cluster.
Mm-hmm. And that's the sole reason that we went. And it was a great time. I want everybody to go to a Joey Janela Spring Break because that man puts on a show. And like Lo said, he was in the crowd. He took somebody's Cheetos.
He smoked someone's blunt.
Everybody was smoking a blunt in the middle of the ring. There was like four or five wrestlers. And I was like, no way. And this is being televised on Fight TV. Like,
oh, jeez. Which y'all got interviewed for at Wrestlecon, right?
Oh my God, we didn't even mention that.
I know. That's why I was like, man, I need to roll with y'all.
Geez, start getting your piggy bank together.
I know, seriously. Meanwhile, I'm like, I gotta catch my bus at 3 p.m. I'll see y'all there. Like,
I felt like Joey Janela's thing was just more tame. Like, I think I was more here for like that. After we've been at events all night, I think it was like, okay, I can go back to my hotel and sleep, not wonder if the guy that got hit with the light bulb is alive. Because that was my worry. That shit was intense.
It would have been different if we would have went to spring break and then did that Planet Death. First of all, the name.
Yeah.
Like, and I just think maybe we needed to work up to it because someone was like, oh, well, this was like a medium show. Like there's still like more and there's also less. So we were like, well, damn, maybe we should have started with level 1. We had to work our way up to that.
Yeah.
And then the next night we went to some Texas like independent show that was like in a ballroom. They had a very nice chandelier. Like, I would put it in my house. We went to watch Chris Bay's match, but we were held up so long in the in and out line that we missed Chris Bay's match. Mm-hmm. So we sat there at 1:30, 2 a.m, delirious as laughing Iridian was like, Lo, you have to stop laughing. Like, people are going to think you are high. And I was like, it's just so funny. Like, we saw Mariah May wrestle, so that was cool. But we missed what we came there for. We came to see Chris Bay's match, and we missed it because In and Out was taking too long.
I didn't feel too bad because I'm like, well, at least we got to see a women's match.
Right.
So I was excited for that. But again, it was the men in the room, and the men who were in front of us were like saying very inappropriate things.
The men behind us too. Oh, she's hot. Oh, and I turned around. I need these men to do me one favor. When you start talking about if a woman is ugly or if she's hot, I need you to open your phone. Okay. I need you to go like this. I need you to open it, look at yourself, and think, should I be saying this right now? Because, oh, she's hot. Sir, everybody can hear you. And I kind of looked at Iridian and I was like, are we just going to let this happen behind us or what? And mind you, like I said, I was very delirious. So I was running on like very minimum patience. And I'm like, man.
And the guy who was in front of me was like, oh no, that's my girl. I gotta go with my girl. First, she don't know you and she's not gonna know you, like, sir. And he's like, I got my cheating shirt on. Cheating shirt.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, like, first of all, sir, they're not even gonna look at you. Relax.
Give me the time of day.
Relax.
Oh my God.
Oh my dear.
Goodness.
And not even when women come into the room would they be like, let's take it down a notch, guys. Make it make sense.
I was in that room with the sparkly cowgirl hat on at 2 a.m. in the morning. It felt like we were in a fever dream that night. It did not feel like it was real. We were
the car ride
tired.
Home, we were listening to High School Musical. It was just so intense. We went through
now I'm really getting foam. Manual. Jeez.
We went through our Miley Cyrus. We were singing.
Was that the night it was raining? Okay, yeah.
Yes, the see you again, Miley Cyrus. And we were going through our Disney Channel playlist, and we were just like laughing and I don't know. We were sleep deprived.
Yes. Let's talk about the Wrestlemania Superstore. So this is the first time that we've all experienced anything like this. Kaycee, how did you feel seeing the Superstore, stepping into it for the first time, seeing everything around? What were your thoughts?
So I tried to go on Sunday. That was the only time in our little itinerary that we were able to fit it in, just because of how everything laid out with Wrestlecon and the buses and stuff. And originally, obviously, when I bought the travel package, it was supposed to be like something completely different. And then they refunded us the money for the access experience. And then they gave us a free pass to the Superstore. So we're like, okay, let's just go. It was not what I expected. I felt like it was a lot of the same, just kind of spread out in a wider area. And then like the little interactive things were charging separately, which I was like, well, then what's the point? Like, what's the point of being here? There's really not much else to do. Like, we bought one or two things and caught podcast little thing, and that was it. It was not what I expected. It was a little underwhelming.
I had never experienced anything like that, but also I was very upset because, people had pictures and videos of access and what it was before, and you're just like, oh my God, like, I'm going. And then for them to like not announce it and it just be kind of like a giant merch store, I was like intrigued, but also I guess I don't know what I'm missing because I have never experienced an access before. So I thought it was cool because we got to do like a superstar entrance, which Lo convinced me to do, and we did it together and it was cute. And we got to have like a little like spray, like Wrestlemania tattoo.
Those are cute.
And yeah, they had panels, which I thought we had a good time.
Yeah, so the panels are something different that they introduced this year. So I think they wanted it to be more like a C2E2 type of thing, where they do have the different panels where the superstars or the wrestlers speak. So, they had a handful of people. I don't know how the ticket sales were doing because they ended up going into different sessions and adding more people on. So I'm assuming those were the ones that weren't selling well. So like Booker T and Charmel was one that had an addition of Ms. Maurice. I know Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan were added to one that was on Monday right before ours. There was a couple others that had like people plugged in. So I was like, okay, the ticket sales might be low for that one. The first day that we went was Friday.
Yes, Friday.
Yes. So So we went Friday. Those were considerably more empty than the one that we went to on Monday. So the one on Friday that we went to was or the two that we went to were the Mysterios, and then we went to the Bianca Belair and Street Profits one. So I was really surprised that the Rey Mysterio one didn't have more people in it. But it was way more intimate. I think honestly that one was probably my favorite one because it just felt like you were there with them. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like they were on stage doing a panel. It felt like you were actually having a conversation with them. I do think that the people that work there need to be more cognizant of what is going on in the room, because the guy next to me was recording the entire thing. Actually, no, he was on FaceTime with someone the entire time, and it was like right here on my ear. And I like kept looking at him. Again, same thing at WrestleMania, the experience I'm talking about where like you're having a good time and there's someone annoying you. So that was the type of experience that I had with that. But Ray and Dominic were just like, I felt like they did such a good job. And we got to ask a question, which was really cool. And I don't know. I felt like it was really organized and they did a good job at it. Iridian, what did you think?
I was like on cloud nine. It was just It was just a great experience.
Yeah, you were.
It was just so great. Like I'm such a huge fan of Rey Mysterio. And when Dominic started wrestling, I'm like, oh my God, here, like this is a family. Like, oh my goodness. I just, I love that. And we watched Dominic grow up in the WWE. Like we saw these storylines with Eddie Guerrero and, they were fighting for custody and is Eddie the dad. So I feel like at this point, Dominic Hall of Fame because he's been in the business for so long, like
he's improved so much too. Watching him improve as a wrestler, like it's just been incredible. Like the match he had and just seeing where he's come from, like, it's just been amazing. He's so good.
Yeah. So we got to ask Ray and Dominic a question, which I was like freaking out about because the ring announcer for NXT, she saw me and Lo and she's like, oh, like both of us, because we both had our hands raised. So you could raise your hand and they would go to you so you can ask a question. And she got us up from our seats and we stood next to her. And there was a cameraman there that day. I guess I don't know what they were filming, but I thought they were going to film at all the panels. Cause I'm like, okay, maybe they're doing like a Wrestlemania something. And she tells the cameraman to like step in front. And then we're like placed on an X and they turn the lights on and we're like, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen? And I'm asking Rey Mysterio a question. And Ray is like talking back to me. Honestly, Kaycee, I don't even remember what happened. Like
I don't even know his response.
I don't even remember what I asked. Don't remember what he said. And then it was Lo's turn to ask. And Lo also asked her question and, Dominic and them, they're like looking at us. And the whole time I'm like, is this really happening? Am I dreaming? Like there was no way that this could be happening right now. And they said thank you. So the cameraman comes, or someone who was with the cameraman, and he has to sign this paper. And he's like, oh, we're just working on something. Could you guys have your signature so we can use the footage? And we were like, you sure can. Yeah. Here you go.
Now, did they record every question or did they just record?
No.
Yeah, they recorded like a handful of people.
So they recorded question was good.
Yeah, they recorded like a little kid. And they recorded us and then like some other question before. And I guess like when they were coming in and like filming and stuff. But what was nice about this one, and I think this one really made, like it set our expectations high for the other panels, was that Dominic and Ray just didn't leave after the panel was over. They stayed and like people not like rushed to the stage, but like they went up to where they were and Ray and Dominic get their Sharpies and they start signing and start taking pictures with everyone, which I was like, there's no way. Like, do you guys have places to be and you're here like autographing and signing? And I'm like, okay, I have to have my phone out because I got to get my selfie with Rey Mysterio. So I'm like recording and my video is like 5 minutes long, like the total, because I just kept waiting for the right moment. And there was people in front of me asking for a picture. So I'm like, all right, this is it. And I was recording and I'm like, hey, Ray, could you look here in the camera? And Ray's like, yeah, sure. So I like hold it long enough for Ray, to come out in the picture. And I'm like, thank you so much. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he goes on and continues to sign things. And I'm like, okay, Dominic's coming up. I need my picture with Dominic. And Lo was in the back of me and she's like, I got you. I got the picture. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I forgot that she even said that.
She forgot I was there. She thought she came to Texas alone.
I have my camera ready, but like I was very close to Dominic and like the camera angle was just not working out. So I like had to like move my hand out a little bit further and I'm recording and he gets into the shot and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. You're so cute. And I looked him in the eyes and I told him this. And I immediately, camera off, I turn it off. I'm done.
Cut the cameras, dead ass.
Cut the cameras. We're leaving. And I'm looking at Lo, and Lo is making this face at me. Like, Lo has never looked at me like this ever before. She was ready to drag me out of there. She's like, okay, let's go. Like,
that's enough.
Yes, but Dominic said, he said, oh, thanks. Like, and he giggled, like he thought it was funny. Like, he's like, yeah, I know I'm cute, but oh my goodness, I cannot believe that slipped out. That's never happened to me before.
She was just overwhelmed. I think she just didn't know what to say, just like me with Toni Storm. Like, I think that's like the easiest thing to say, because you feel like they'll just say thank you or something. You know what? It happens. Now he knows you have the hots for him. It's okay.
That's okay.
Now he knows. Oh, geez. I mean, as long as Ray didn't hear me, I'm fine.
We left out that panel, and then we went in line for Bianca and the Street Profits. So many little girls dressed as Bianca. Was so cute. The little girl in front of us, she was like, had the ponytail, had the little outfit, everything. I was like, okay, girl, go ahead. So we go in, we're sitting down. We were in the front row. Again, very good experience. They had way more questions than Rey Mysterio and Dominic, and they had way more people. And it was mostly Bianca getting asked the questions, and Montez. I felt like Dawkins was kind of like, okay, like I'm the third wheel here. Yeah.
Here we go. It's just like the Arn Anderson and Christian. Like, these men were chopped liver out there, and nobody was there to see them. And that was so sad, because I was like, I almost got in line to ask him a question. Like, come on, guys.
What's your favorite color? Do you like sushi? Anything.
How many headbands do you own? Like, something. Aww.
It was a good experience, though. They did not stay after to sign autographs. That was one thing that I really wanted, was to take a picture with Bianca, but it was fine. They left. WWE kind of put it in the back of our heads, like, you're going to these panels to hear these people speak. It's kind of like you might get lucky and they might sign something. So I couldn't be upset that, they didn't stay to take pictures or sign autographs, but I really liked that one. And then we did the panel on Monday, which was stacked. Lita, Trish Stratus, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Naomi. Oh my God. That room was completely packed. And I think it was mostly for Sasha, to be honest with you. Honestly.
Everybody was asking Sasha questions, and I'm like, there's other women up there, guys. Like, go
up
there and say,
up there.
Yes. Or you could say, well, this question is for everyone. Like, come on, you have to know how to ask a question, especially WWE. They don't have to let us ask these questions at panels. Like, this is a treat, or like a reward for the fans. So I feel like we also have to give them a little bit of courtesy.
Like a reward.
Like a reward. Yeah. So we also have to be courteous, and I don't want to single anyone out, because I feel bad when I'd be like, I need to ask them all the question, just to be fair.
I thought it was a good one. I thought it was extremely packed, and there were some people in there that were like super fans, like down to the socks. The guy next to us, I have never seen a bigger Charlotte Flair fan. Like, he was obsessed. You hear me? Okay. And girl, I'm gonna let him do his thing. But when he started yelling AEW and talking about how the tag titles are for mid cards, hold the up. That's when I was kind of like, okay, like, you doing too much for me. We get in these environments, and I think sometimes wrestling fans get a little bit too comfortable, and they think they could say whatever. We're in a setting with like a bunch of people who've paid their money to watch this panel and see these superstars that they only see on TV. Respect yourself and respect others, and just kind of sit back and relax. Like, you don't have to yell AEW. You don't have to talk about the tag team champions who are literally sitting right in front of you. You don't have to keep yelling the same question as Charlotte about Ronda Rousey. Let's relax. Sometimes I think maybe we should have like an etiquette class before we actually go to this stuff, because we need to respect each other. Like, that's one of the biggest things that I think we're missing from this community. This is like a complete sidebar, is that we need to respect each other, whether you're online or in person. You need to respect the people that you're interacting with that are in the same community. You want these people to respect your opinions and respect you as a person. You have to pay that same respect to them. And I felt like that day, that guy was not doing that. I was very much surprised that they didn't just escort him out, because it was already so loud in that room.
Yeah, it was
a panel, though.
All of the seats were taken.
Yeah.
And
the question line.
The question, it wasn't like the Ray and Dom one where people would just raise their hand every now and then they would go to you. they had a line like from the beginning of this, like maybe almost very close to the stage to all the way to the back of the room, which was insane. And I'm like, there's no way everyone that's there is going to get to ask a question.
And they didn't.
I'm surprised they didn't vet questions, because like I've been to like concert things where like you get to do like the backstage stuff, and like the person doing the mics like, what's your question? And then like then
that's what they did originally.
Yeah.
At the Mysterio one. But I don't know what happened during the Sasha one. I definitely think, Kaycee, they do need to vet the questions, or like you tell the interviewer your question. Because even honestly, like even if you do vet the question, someone could go up there and be like, I'm going to ask Sasha what her favorite ring gear is. And they're like, okay. And then you get on the mic, you're like, what do you do? What do you do? Like, I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, what if someone goes up there and cusses them out right now? What is going to happen?
It's a lot of risk that you're putting on and trust in these people and asking questions.
All in all, do you think that this WrestleMania experience is what you expected it to be? Do you think it was better than what you expected? Was it worse than what you expected? And would you go to another WrestleMania?
I would definitely. It was better than I expected. Even with the travel package stuff, like everything was amazing. I was just overwhelmed. That's the word I used the whole weekend, is just very overwhelming, and very positive. You know, you get those weird interactions here and there, but overall, like it was just a wonderful experience. I would definitely go again. I don't think I can afford to go again and for a little while, just for a little while, maybe a different pay-per-view. It's definitely something I would love to experience again. There was during night 2, there was one time I turned to Raul and I was like, how are we ever going to go back to watching WrestleMania on TV? Like after being there, physically there, I was like, how are we ever going to go back to just sitting on our couch and eating Domino's, watching it online, you know, or whatever. Like it was an incredible experience. Definitely would do it again. And it definitely met my expectations and like shot over that too. So it was great.
Just the magnitude of, you know, how the event was. There's nothing else that I can compare it to, like emotionally and physically, because I've never been to a show that big before. You know, when Lo and I walked in, we were like at the entrance ramp where the big star was, and that took up like half of the wall in the arena that we were at. So I had never seen that many people someplace, and all wrestling fans. I've never seen so much pyro, such a spectacle. And it was just such an amazing weekend that like, I tell Lo that we were not tired because we were running on adrenaline of like being excited, because there's no way we could have made it if we were like, oh, okay, we have to make it to this place, or we have to go. We were like, oh my God, no, like we have to go. And then we're super excited about this show. And Lo and I were doing shows at like 3 a.m. We were like in a Texas gym. And
girl, that was a ballroom.
It was at 3 a.m. and Lo was in her like cowboy hat and rhinestones. And she's like, are we really here in 3 a.m? And I was just so excited the whole time. And I definitely think that I would go back. I'm planning to, hopefully next year. I had been saving for WrestleMania all last year. So I think if I start my piggy bank up again, I can probably do it. So we're going to hope for that.
Yes, we booked our hotel already. So I hope she saves her money, because I can't pay for the both of us. No, but I definitely agree with both of you. I think it was an overwhelming experience just to be in that element. Like I've been to different pay-per-views in Las Vegas before, and you know, I feel like it's different to travel somewhere and go to a wrestling show and see people that you've interacted with online and stuff like that. And you meet these wrestlers, and it's just a whole experience in itself. Like whether you decide to go to both nights of WrestleMania, or you decide, hey, I'm going to go to SmackDown, I'm going to go to Raw too, or, you know, the NXT show that was at 3:00 in the morning or whatever time it was at, it's a whole experience in a weekend. And I feel like it's just something that I can't compare it to anything else that I've been to, because there's nothing like it. I mean, I know when you have like an AEW show, they have events surrounding it or whatever, but it's just not the same. It's not the same as WrestleMania. So we will definitely be going back. We definitely will. I'm looking forward to LA. It's a little bit closer to Las Vegas. So hopefully, you know, West Coast is the best coast, baby. I'm ready for it. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me. To talk all about WrestleMania, where can the people find you on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram at Over the Moonsalt and on Twitter at OT Moonsalt.
And you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Wrestfriends. Go to our bio and you will see our link tree. All the information is on there.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you listen to your podcast. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. Let us know what you thought about the episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!